CG Lumberjack, automating everything but the art.
So one of the things I've been seeing a lot lately is postings for Shotgrid TDs at studios. We all know it's called Flow now, but it's going to take a while for us to call it that. So why does the studio need a Shotgrid TD? There is a ton of manual labor involved in project management. We're going to go over what I think are the key components to Shotgrid management. It's kind of like the minimum that you need to do to make sure that Shotgrid runs properly. So every pipeline is going to need some kind of user interface to encourage artists to work within the pipeline. You need to be able to show me my tasks from Shotgrid in a nice interface. Once you can do that, I'm going to want to be able to create a project in Shotgrid really easily. But not only create the project in Shotgrid, I'm going to want to create it on the file system as well. So when I'm in here and I've got all these projects and I make a new one where I might just want a project to test something. And as a CG soup and a visual effects soup, I do this all the time. And we're going to create a project and we're going to call it Tom R&D. All right, so I'm going to create that project. This is going to create the project in Shotgrid. So now I have this Tom R&D project. And if I pull open Shotgrid and go back to view all projects, we will see that there is now a Tom R&D project. So if I go into here, this has been created with the right templates and everything. I didn't have to do anything to do this. I didn't even have to know how to use Shotgrid. But now I can go in there and I can start making things. I'm going to want to be able to create assets. And even give them some organization. So let's pretend that we need a bucket for this. We're going to create that. And this is even giving me a little task template. I'm going to add a rig to that, but I'll hit create. And this is going to go and create a Shotgrid asset. So I now have a bunch of tasks that I can just get going right away. And I can check out this task that it created for me. So as you can see, I've got my bucket task created. I've got tasks that have been created with the Shotgrid task template, and I'm ready to go. So let's keep going. What else does Shotgrid need to be able to do in the pipeline? I would want it to be connected to what the artist does. So when I start my task, let's pretend I'm making a bucket model. When I start this thing, I'm going to click on it here. And then this asks me if I want to start this model task. I'm going to hit OK. And then it's it's going to upgrade Shotgrid with new statuses. It's also going to create a version in Shotgrid that's connected to this version that I just created. So if I refresh in Shotgrid, I can see that model task is now in progress. And if I go into the model, I can see that a version was created and it is also in progress. So we've just eliminated a ton of the stuff that the coordinators would typically have to do. And we've had to do no work so far. Okay, so the other thing that we're gonna need to be able to do in Shotgrid is easily handle the whole review process. So I've got my render here and I wanna get it reviewed. So I'm gonna click this review button, and this allows the artist to submit a review to Shotgrid. So we're gonna call this first look at my bucket. All right, so that's gonna run through all these pre-flights in this recipe. That's uploaded this to Shotgrid. It's showing me that it uploaded to Shotgrid, put it in a playlist for me. What's really cool here is it changed the task to pending review, and it also created a version, and it set the version status to pending review as well. So now it's very easy for production to go through and find any of the latest statuses that are pending review. The other nice thing is that these dailies playlists exist so that production doesn't even really have to create those. And this is what I've used as a supervisor. So if I go to my media, I want to look at my my playlists, and in my playlists, I can see Model Dailies 1003, and it shows me what is in there and available. We want effortless uploading, organization, status updates for reviews in Shotgrid. If you have this one thing, you're essentially doing the one thing that really large studios do well, and you're making it easy for artists to iterate. The next thing we're going to talk about is the publish button. When I push this publish button, Shotgrid needs to know that I published something. What we're going to do is we're going to just run this publish and show what's happening there. So our status has been changed to publish for the model task. And when I go into the model task, I can see that my version status has also been changed to published. So these are what I would consider the must-haves for a Shotgrid pipeline. It's not that hard to implement. It could usually be done in a matter of weeks. If you do these simple things, you're going to be in a really good spot with Shotgrid, and it'll really kind of reduce the load on the artists, reduce the load on the coordinators, reduce the load on the producers, and allow the producers to really create a good idea of what's going on at the studio. Leave your comments. I want to know, producers, what kind of reports do you want to see? Artists, what kind of things would you like to see with Shotgrid? Supervisors, what kind of things do you want to see with Shotgrid? Tell me what you want to see, and I'll make some more videos about how to make Shotgrid less painful to manage and just kind of easy to use.
CG Lumberjack, automating everything but the art.